You are now listening to the Hunter's Advantage podcast. We preserve the history and sport of hunting through curious conversation and action-packed hunts, as well as offering you tips and strategy for more successful hunts. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hunter's Advantage podcast, episode number 161. We're back with the tanned man of Alabama, Jake Gaylord. How's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good. It's funny you say that because I forgot about this thing. I actually met some guys from Alabama on the beach there.
Go figure.
Yeah, they didn't look like Alabama boys because they were actually like, bathed and stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But no, they were super cool. They had that new bush peach. Have you tried that yet?
I haven't had that one, no.
Well, so a little backstory for all the listeners and stuff. Whenever we go on our rutcations in Oklahoma, like it's been tradition like the last 2 or 3 years to bring bush apple. And if you haven't tried it, I'd strongly recommend bush apple. They since then canceled the bush apple and instead making the bush peach. And I was super skeptical on that, right? And I was kind of worried it would ruin the deer camp tradition. Well, I traded some Alabama guys a couple Coors Banquet beer for a few Bush Peach beer, and I tried it, and it was very good. So
better than Bush Apple?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it just depends if you like apple or peach more, but like they're both super good. So
not a huge peach guy.
See, I'm really not either, but I think you'll be surprised.
Fine. I'll try it.
Okay.
I'll try it.
It's there.
If it's what they're going to make, I'll try it.
Yeah.
So were these guys like hunters or just regular Alabamians?
So I was talking to him for a little bit because like the first day I seen him out there and, I just the small talk, they were like some kids my age. And I was just like, oh, you got to make that pile bigger, talking about like their beer can pile or whatever. Because the only thing I like to do literally when I'm at the beach is like walk it and look for seashells that kind of wash up on shore a little bit. You have to grab them real quick before the tide takes them back in. And so that's like my favorite thing to do. So after doing that, like going back and forth and rehydrating and stuff, I had a couple exchanges with them. And the second day I got to talking to them and they were like, hey, you got an Instagram, yada, yada, yada. And we got to talking and they actually subscribed. So we gained like 3 or 4 subscribers off that.
I was wondering why the numbers
always working, baby.
We're through the roof.
That is true. We doubled our sub count in like one day. So
did you get them on both channels or just the main?
Just the main. The main.
You should have been like, while we're here, let's go over here channel.
No, I wasn't gonna mess with them like that. But no, it was a good time. But I am burnt.
Yeah. Well, while you had them there, you should have got them to do a rating and review. Which we've got a few more of those since you left.
You want to call them out real quick, or are we not going to be that cliche?
No, I'm going to reward this listener because he seemed like a really cool guy.
Okay, speaking about reviews, we got a review on Facebook.
What did it say?
So someone created a fake Facebook service account. The only reason I know that because it has 0 friends, 0 followers, anything like that. And this dude, so we have 2 reviews on Facebook. One's me.
Thanks.
They gave a 5-star. Great content. Give this a look. And then the other one is Protection Service Center 478569654. Doesn't recommend Hunter's Advantage because of violations. Sharing photos and videos that violate copyright, using fake photos. Well, I think he just said he doesn't recommend, and then Facebook gives you like a drop down tab to like press stuff that you don't like about it. And he had a spasm with his hand because he tapped every single thing he could probably tap.
Sounds
and yeah, he definitely does not eat meat. But yeah, so I assume he gave it a 1-star because now we're at an average of 3 stars.
What a toolbox.
Yeah.
Now we need the people to go recommend us on Facebook.
So just like good hunters do, where you eat like 2 steaks, that way you can cancel out everything one vegan has done. You ever seen all that? This is what we need to do for like the hunting community. And if you're listening to this, go to our Facebook, Hunter's Advantage, and leave a review. And let's get that back up a little bit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, I will end on a positive one before we get into our topic here. BB2357 said, "Great show, 5 stars." And he said, "Been hunting for a long time and listening for about a year. Great guys and a great show. Thank you. You're the best." That one was on Apple. So we appreciate the very nice review. That was very nice of you. And we've been getting some more on Spotify too. So y'all are listening. We appreciate it. But let's talk about something fun here. And let's talk about a topic that Jake brainstormed while at work. The change. Go ahead.
No, I said, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Jake brainstormed it. He used his head. Probably not a good idea.
There's a lot here, folks. So today we're going to talk about the mindset of hunters and how it changes during the certain times or over the course of the year, which, to be honest, we're in a pretty good mindset right now. And that's the one that we're going to start with, which is the summer season. What kind of headspace are you in during the summer, Jake? Positive one, a negative one, a neutral one, or none at all?
I would think I'm in a neutral one. Like I always, if I've already put out the effort to go set out cameras and stuff, then like I would be in a positive mindset or whatever. But like it's June 20th today, and I don't really want to think about it right now. It sounds bad, but it's just like one of those that I'm just like, what?
No, go ahead.
No,
I won't cut you off.
Is this a bad thing to say?
No, I don't think so.
I'm just trying to be transparent, like, because I get burnt out probably around mid-December. I'm pretty burnt out on hunting in general, and because I don't know, probably early October, I stopped listening to most podcasts, like hunting podcasts and stuff like that, just because it's like you don't need to study for the test. Does that make sense?
The test is ready. Test is time.
It's go time. So I usually just, all my spare time and energy and stuff, and like hunting, I don't want to go to work and listen to hunting and then, on my days off go hunting, mainly just because I don't want, like, I think I used to be like that. The years past, I used to be like that, but not so much anymore, just because I think that's almost too bad to, like, I don't know if the right word is asphyxiate too much on one thing, that there's a lot more things to think about other than like hunting, or else you'll wear yourself out on it too much, I think. I don't know.
Well,
what do you think?
It can become, I feel like it during the season, right before the season, it can become an idol, like very easily.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good way of putting it.
That's kind of from a spiritual sense. I mean, we're believers, so that's kind of what I think is, when you go every single weekend and, Monday through Friday when you're home, that's all you're filtering in your brain too. And so there's a 12-week period of time during the year where it's like hard to be a functioning human being. And that's probably going more into the realm of like, okay, I'm making this an idol. I can't stop. I'm fixating on it. I'm spending all my time thinking about it. When I'm not thinking about it, I'm fighting, not thinking about it, that sort of thing. And also, if you consume too much of it, it just makes it not fun. You eat enough lobster, it tastes like steak. Or sorry, it tastes like soap. You eat enough lobster, it tastes like soap. Yeah, I feel like it's really easy to make it an idol during the season, especially. So,
but years past and stuff, like I was gung ho for it about every single day throughout the year. Like I think this walls kind of only hit like within, I think, the last year. So before that, like, let's just speak on that experience. Like I was kind of living for it, like trying to go back through the trail cams data that we had, and was like trying to figure out exactly when the deer last year that I was after kind of came into my life, came into the trail cameras the following season, and just trying to match things up with that. But I don't know. I think we got a little off topic. Where we headed with this?
Summer. Yeah.
Our summer like mindsets and stuff, right? Like,
yeah, my mind for the summer is juicy right now, because Carol and I went out last. I don't know. What day is it?
It was 2 weeks ago. Jared's wedding.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we went out and set out 7 cell cams, including a couple new Exodus rivals, 3 of them that we're trying out right now, out on the lease. And the lease is always like, it's kind of the dirty thing that keeps dragging me back because I know it's almost like a guarantee, not a guarantee, but a very close to a
It's a good
guarantee
lease.
of a positive experience. And so, there's when you go out in public, there's never like, oh, you're definitely going to get a really good picture or a really good buck. When we got on the lease, it's so unpressured and such a good property that I know the pictures are going to come. So it's easy to have a really positive attitude. So we're out there sweating, and we're out there in Carol's new Tundra, and it's wrapped. And of course, he's treating it like a pavement princess. He's like, dude, I ain't going over that log.
In his defense, like, if it was anything like you went through in Colorado that one year,
not even close. Not even in the same. If that was a 10, this was a 1.
Okay. Okay.
It was grass, and there was like a log laying down somewhere, or like there was some trees overhanging. He's like, that limb can't touch. We got to find a spot where it can't touch.
I can understand that a little bit. Like, or I've never had a wrap truck before, but I know those wrap trucks just from the old Gerda work trucks that we had that was somewhat wrapped on the hood. If those things get a nick in it from a power washer or whatever, like that whole thing's basically peeling up.
Fair play. I guess I have a different, obviously you've seen in Colorado, I have a different mindset. It's a tool.
I mean, I think so too, but it's just
it's a tool. It's a new truck too. When you get something new, you're like, okay, I want to wait to get the first nice scratch on it. Then you get the first nice scratch on it. You're like, okay, I'm good now. So, but no, we went out into the lease and got it all set up, and it's easy to be really optimistic because in the summer, those pictures started rolling in, and I think we found one of the bucks from last year, probably a really good 8 with a.
Is that the one you sent me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which one do you think he is?
I think he is a buck that is an mainframe 8 with about a 4-inch dagger coming off his left G2, and then he has about a 3-inch kicker coming off the base on his right side. So he's an 8 with a dagger and then a kicker off the back.
Last year he was like that, or
yes,
this year he's showing
last year he was like that. And so this year it looks like he has double split 2s, which is kind of hype.
Was he consistent last year?
We got a lot of pictures of him, but our cell cameras filled up, memory cards filled up in late October, and so me and Carol were both done at the lease.
It's because you use a feeder. Cheaters.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's easy to be very positive in the summer, and we're fixing to go out on public and set out all our trail cams. And so when you're sitting at home knowing that those cameras are doing absolute work in the summer, once the work is done in the summer, I feel really good. I'm like, let's go.
The first initial put out kind of sucks because you're like trying to tweak everything, or not tweak everything, but make sure everything's out where you want it, and you don't want to really miss a spot, or at least that's how I am. I'm like, man, you're trying to budget the camera. Maybe that's a bad word. Ration the cameras. That way, you have enough for this little area that you really liked and you checked out, so you don't want to put too many here because, I mean, there's some spots where we can get a little trail cam crazy, like, oh, let's just throw another one out, for craps and giggles. But so what's your mindset though, on how excited you are, and what's your expectations for the summer scouting, the trail cam season?
Summer.
What are you planning on holding out for, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny how it's like an AT&T raising the bar, but backwards. It's like the other way. If you flipped it the other way, I start so high because my expectations in the summer are I see all these bucks, and then they obviously all look 10 inches bigger because they're in velvet. So right. I'm like, this is the year. 150 or better. That's how I
holding out for a giant.
Yeah. This is the year. I don't care if I don't shoot anything, I'm going for a giant. That is my mindset in the summer.
So, but I think that has to do with all the videos and the podcasts that people listen to, because you hear a lot of those. I don't know if it's an old time saying, or if it's something that's been somewhat new like here recently, but that old saying that you can't shoot a 150 if you shoot every like 130 or 140. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so after listening to that, you're hyped up before you did basically any work in the summer. Let's say like in July, you're super hyped up and you're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to pass that 130. Oh, I'm definitely going to pass that 120. Is that kind of right?
What it is. I have a great example for you from today.
Okay.
Carol called me on the phone and he was telling me he couldn't come this weekend because, he has the health stuff that he's dealing with. We were sending those pictures back and forth, and it's fun to send the pictures back and forth and be like,
especially if you share the lease.
Yeah, this one's going to be this one's going to be this. And that's always fun. And I go, what's your goal this year? Like, what are you going to try to shoot? And he said, man, if it ain't gross 140, I ain't shooting it. And I said, speak for yourself. And he said, what do you mean? I said, man, you say that till 130, 135 inch 8 walks in. I said, if you're sitting with me and 130 inch 8 walks in, go whack. It's getting whacked.
Smacking it.
Yeah. Sure.
See, I have mixed feelings about that. And I know it's the time of year we're in right now. And like, just kind of, you said you had that conversation with Carol today, like just me thinking about hunting season today, at least for your lease, I think you need to hold off on that.
I agree.
But this is me speaking now in June. Okay. So it will change, but I just think you guys have too good of a lease to shoot a gross 140. Like a net and a gross 140, I think two completely different animals.
Yeah.
If it's a net 140, fire away, Chris Stapleton style. All right. But I don't know. What were you going to say?
I generally agree with you, but, and I've talked with Trent from Chest Thumper about this today.
I know nobody's name. It's just all
just like their handle,
their TikTok handles. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But there's just no more beautiful sight than an arrow going through the chest cavity of a white-tailed deer. And when a mature one comes in, I don't care if it's got 80 inches of rack or if it's got 150 inches of rack, it feels sacrilegious not to give him what he deserves, which is an arrow right through the lungs.
What's that saying? I was saying a lot last year. Deflate him.
Yeah, deflate him. Yeah, I'm about to go deflate one. Yeah, deflate one.
See, like for my private, I think a 140 gross is like one that you just can't pass up. But for your lease, I just think it's a different story. Like, I don't know.
It's legitimately one of the, I've hunted a lot. I've got to hunt a lot of places and a lot of really good places just because of, between Jake and hunting with Jesse and, we're talking tens of thousands of acres over all the different places that I've been able to hunt. It's probably the single best 100 acres that I've ever seen.
I
genuinely think so.
So
not the biggest bucks, but the most good mature bucks.
Well, you got one that grossed over 140 last year.
Yeah.
Carol's, what did it gross?
It's going to be over 30. It's going to be in the 30s somewhere.
So there you go. And that was just literally the two first deer that both of you guys seen. Literally.
We hunted there a total of one morning and one morning.
And you have a gross 130 and a gross 140.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm saying. Like, because we all know public's one of those things. And like, I'm getting better at 100%. For sure, the first 120 I see next year on public is absolutely getting deflated.
That's right.
Because last year in Kansas, like I was rewatching that video. I know how I said I just don't like want to watch hunting content right now, but I was scrolling through my pictures and I had a picture from like a short or a TikTok that we posted, and it was like when you post there and then it automatically saves to your phone.
Yeah.
It was one of those. And so I was scrolling through my pictures trying to find something, and I seen that, and I was like, what the heck's this? Clicked on it, and it was that one, I don't know what he was, probably 120 from Kansas. And I was like, I had that thing at 40 yards. I probably would have missed, but like, it's one of those things where it's just like, I should have unleashed that arrow.
That was stupid.
But it was just one of those things where it's just like, oh, you can't, because in Kansas, you only have one buck tag, and that was like what, like October?
No, September.
That was in September.
Yeah, the one you passed in the beans.
Yeah.
That was a
And
mistake.
so, but that's that thinking, you're not going to be able to shoot that 150 or 160 if you shoot the first 120 you see. And Jake Ayers was seeing, really good bucks, but he was on that refuge. And that's just the mistake of having that mindset, especially on public, which you should never have.
No, and we're moving into the early season here through our conversation right now, but I agree.
No,
with
I'm
you.
still talking about summer. Like we hunt them during the summer too, guys.
Yeah. What was that? Early summer, June? We were after that one.
Yeah. I think he was still bleeding whenever we nicked the arrow or nicked the antlers. But anyways,
yeah, early season is a tough one because it's an easy place to get greedy because you're like
100%.
got the whole season in front of me. And when it's like this fever pitching point, it's all you're on the ride of the roller coaster and it's all leading up to the top, which is like November 10th or something.
The rut. Yep.
Yeah. And this whole time you're like, well, I don't want to shoot that one because it means I can't shoot 125.
It can only get better.
It can only get better, which is wrong. It can get a lot worse, which we learned on public. On public in the early season, my mindset last year in Kansas, our mindset, I think, was let's try to get something like net 130 or better.
Yeah, that was the
goal. And so that looks a lot like a 140 gross. And Jake passed up probably 125. I passed up probably a 120 in October. Those are both mistakes. Those were both mistakes.
Yeah, you're literally basing off of 5 and 10 inches worth.
Yeah, 5 more inches. You're not gonna be happy if it's 5 inches smaller.
Well, wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. But it's just you just can't play the numbers game. But that's the mindset and that'll probably be my mindset this year too. After getting those trail cameras, because that's the thing though about early season too, and kind of moving back towards the summer mindset too is that you get all these trail cam pictures rolling in.
So
of these giant velvets, and you can only dream of freaking running an arrow through one, and you have all that fun talk of talking with your buddies. Oh, this is where we get the picture. He's looks like he's coming in from this way, so he's probably bedded right over here, and you think you just found this perfect spot to set your tree stand. When it comes to late summer and you're hanging your sets and putting all the final touches on all your hunting spots, and it's just like you're building all that tension, and it's just like you've already kind of have a emotional connection with either the pictures of those deer, or maybe it could just be to a spot, and you're just like, I want to shoot something massive out of here. And kind of like you said, leading into the early season, it all builds to this one point, and that's what kind of screwed me up in Kansas a little bit, because like our very first sit, we seen like I think over 20 deer. Combined.
That was the worst thing that could have happened. We got
and
spoiled.
It's just like whenever it's that hot in the early season, you're just like, what could the rut be like here? Like
could there be 100 deer?
Insane. Mm-hmm. And it's just the mind, man. It'll screw you.
In the summer, it will screw you because it's a lot easier to get pictures. It's very predictable. They walk different places. They water. They act like nothing's going on. So it's easy to get that inventory and being like, okay, this is my selection. I got 10 weapon classes and I get to pick which one I want. And that's not how it is. When those bucks disperse and they go to start doing different things, it's not that way. You're going to have a couple stay around and you hope it's the couple that you want, but it tends to never work that way. Even on the lease. The lease is incredible in the summer. You're going to get 10 plus bucks that you like. 2 of them are going to stay. 3 of them are going to stay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think on my private if that's kind of the case, because my private kind of sets up. Picks? No, that's what I was about to say. My private sets up kind of different because it's really not a summer spot. So this area is where the deer go, probably at least the bigger bucks that we've encountered go, like they start coming into that property around late October, and that's kind of where they tend to rut, sort of, kind of. And then it's usually pretty good on until December. And then it seems like December 1 hits and it's just like a struggle bus. So it's definitely a mid-season property, which I think that's what you want out of a property. But but that just means you don't have those summer picks, and the property's not big enough to kind of branch out without trespassing. So
fair play. So anything else we want to hit on the summer or early season? So in the early season, are you still in that mindset of, I want to hold out for something big? I want something big. I'm not going to settle for something in the middle.
See, that's why it all depends on the pictures. Like 100%. I'm not kidding. It all depends on the pictures. If there's just one buck that I've absolutely fell in love with, then I'll hold out. Like I held out for, I've seen a lot of good bucks this year trying to shoot that 10. A lot of good bucks that I probably
that you could have shot. Happy.
Yes. Yeah.
Like under 40 yards with we had a rifle. You had a rifle.
Yeah. It was like under 40 yards with a 30-06. So I'd hope so.
Even closer.
Even better. So a lot of good bucks I could have shot. But it was like one of those that we've also talked about in the past too. Like speaking about mindsets, is just like, it seems like the further you progress in your hunting journey, you know, how when you first get started, like a spike, like if you've seen something with the antlers, you're like shaking in your boots, and you know, you still kind of shake in your boots a little bit now, but it isn't as exciting for some reason. And then, you know, you start seeing more 115s, you know, you get in areas where you see more 115s and you're like, okay, like this is private wise. Public, I'm still pooping my pants. But then you start seeing, you know, maybe some like low 120s deer. You're like, okay, I'm almost positive that ain't going to make Pope. And it's not so much like a numbers game. Like I'm so happy to see him, and would I be excited to take it? Yes. But I think if you hunt long enough, you have that experience where you shoot something that and I don't want people to take this the wrong way either, but this is just my experiences. You shoot a buck that the encounter got you excited, and you know you're thankful for that deer. You're thankful for the meat. You know, the encounter, the opportunity, everything above, and you walk up to it and you're like, "That was neat," but that's as far as you'll go. It's like, that was neat.
Not a sustainable. That was awesome.
Exactly. Because I've been lucky enough. Like there ain't no skill involved. Like I've been lucky enough to take at least 2 pretty good deer, and that excitement compared to like shooting a 120 excitement, because that's what I did. 2020, I shot my first public land buck, and then I shot my biggest public land buck, and then 2021, I shot just an average. I don't even know what he'd be. What do you think the 2021 buck would be?
115, 120?
Maybe. I'd probably give him like one. I don't even know if he'd break 120. I'd give him like 115, 118, something like that. But I was excited. I was pumped. It was my first decoy buck, and I was like, it was a great encounter, great experience overall. But that excitement level wasn't quite there, if that makes sense. Like, and it's just a different type of excitement.
Have encounters like that, or have one throughout the entire season that you're chasing that you think will sustain you, like the Booner, for example. That was a buck.
Oh, yeah.
Were you willing to like waste your entire season on that one?
Yes and no, because it's just different scenarios. Because like on public land, no, because we were in the area with the Booner, and I shot that 110, 115 incher on as my first buck in 2020. And then I was thinking that,
which was awesome, by the way. We were pumped about that.
Absolutely. No, I was beyond pumped. Trust me, that was a great buck. And then in this, I don't know, a few weeks later on the weekend, we killed the Booner. I was thinking that was a completely different buck. I thought the Booner, when I first seen him, because he was literally 180 behind me, I turn around and I just get that glimpse of him for a second, and I'm like, that's Corkscrew. I didn't immediately think, oh, that's the Booner. I thought it was a different buck. He was still a giant buck that I thought he was, like Corkscrew buck, but he wasn't the Booner. And so like I wasn't going to hold off on the Corkscrew buck because, you know, oh, the Booner's in the area. No.
Yeah.
But for the private scenario that I was in last year, like that Big 10 versus that, probably would have scored, I don't know, 140s easy.
Easy. Yeah, easy on
140s. Easy. I wasn't going to trade that for a 125-ish buck.
Yeah, it's different on public and private. What about we move into the, let's say, peak rut? Does your standards change at all on public land? Like first week in November, we're at our annual rutcation. Is it all about inches, or is it just I want a good experience here?
Well, everybody wants to be the big dog on, at deer camp.
That's true.
But is it all about inches or is it all about experience? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Or is it both? Has to be a little bit of both.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the past, I think it would have been like an inch thing, maybe. I don't know. Now it's a little bit of both. It's hard to like separate, because if an encounter gets you too excited, kind of like that turkey that from Jesse's a few years ago, that Jake came in all strutted up, slapping the decoy with his wing and all that. Yeah, I would have been excited to shoot that one, but you ended up passing on him, and it's just like it's kind of like that. If one came up just absolutely chasing a doe, just doing the thing, you're like, I feel like you should smack him regardless, because like he's asking for it, and like that's just insane. But it, like I said, dude, it all depends on the pictures. Let's say it's a scenario of we have a 150-inch buck that we've only got a picture of maybe twice, and we're not really sure like exactly what area he's in. Then if it's the rut, the first good thing that walks through, because that's when you got to kind of play, like think a little bit and be like, okay, this buck could be 3 miles away on a hot doe right now. And so at that point, I think you just got to kind of take what you can get, because all patterns, every like routines, that's completely flushed at that point.
The Hunter's Advantage podcast is powered by Out on a Limb Manufacturing. Out on a Limb is a family-owned company based right here in Oklahoma that makes tree stands, saddle platforms, climbing sticks, and so much more.
Christian, I have a quick question.
What's that?
What bites down harder, a hippo or an alligator?
No idea.
It's a trick question. The Ridge Runner 2.0 bites harder than both of them. But all jokes aside, we use these products all across the land on public or private. These help us get into any tree we want and hunt where the deer actually are.
Most men go to the grocery store for their meat, but these products help you go to God's grocery store. I have used the Out on a Limb Ridge Runner 2.0 and the Shakar sticks for the last few years hunting public land bucks, and I've actually shot several bucks out of this setup. If you want to support the podcast and get some Out on a Limb equipment, make sure to go to outonalimbmfg.com and use code HNTA10 for 10% off at checkout. Once again, if you want to support the podcast, go to outonalimbmfg.com and use code HNTA10 at checkout for 10% off. Now let's get back to the podcast. Yeah, I think my eject button is on public land. Anything ever that runs out in front of me that's 130 or better is getting shot.
And about 120 or better?
No. Maybe
on public.
Maybe
on public
depends what time of the year. I mean,
if he's doing the thing, if he's like sitting there like,
it's why it's why I love public land. If a deer does that to me and really gets me going, I will shoot him. If he really gets me going.
You see, I think people need to hear that, because I think there's too much of the 120. You're not going to shoot a 150. You shoot that 120, maybe, but I guarantee you, like, if a deer comes up all puffed up, that's a better story. And that's a story you're going to remember over, you happen to stumble upon 150, which
and I use
the
term of inches, not as like, this is what's good for me, I have to have this or better.
Right.
It's more to like paint a picture in somebody's head. I don't want to say a nice 8. Well, what's a nice 8? Is that 70 inches? Is that 140? I only use inches to describe relative size. It's not about that's what's going to make me happy. No, dude, if an 80-inch 6-point that comes in that's gnarly with big eye guards and like is like coming in like the big dog, I'll deflate him. I will legitimately deflate him.
That is true.
And I'll do it again.
So you're saying character over inches?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Unless they're standing next to each other.
That would be a deal breaker. So relatively, like, your early season and late season are the same mindset, or no?
How so? Why do you think that?
I guess I was thinking I guess that's what I'm asking. The characteristic versus the inches.
And the beggars can't be choosers thing. To
Okay.
me, yeah, in the early season, I kind of run this intricate balance of I'll shoot something nice because I know it can get worse. Like, this is on public, by the way. This is not on private. And then in the post rut, I'll also feel a similar way on public land of I'll shoot something nice because for a different reason because the clock is running out. So,
Mm,
and also it's all about the experience. So if we were to go to out of state and go do something fun on public land, pretty much any time during the peak rut, besides the peak rut, I'll shoot a pretty nice deer, unless I think I have an opportunity or a picture of something real special. I'll shoot a nice.
okay. I agree with that because something again I learned last year is I think the very first nice thing that gets you excited on, especially on an out of state, and especially if it's a public
Or a
land hunt,
public, yeah.
if it's a new piece of public and you've never taken a deer there before, I'd say, and out of state, I'm just trying to specify this, shoot that deer because it could be a fluke where that's the only deer you're going to see, or but even if it's not, and you end up, going to go hunt with your hunting buddy, sit and stand and film him or something, and even if he's loaded up with 130s and 140s in that spot, that's still going to give you enough drive into the next season or even the next 2 seasons to try to go back and hunt that state. Does that make sense? Because if you don't and you pass and then you get skunked or something, you're like, well, F that. I'm never going there because then the next deer I kill, that's going to be a $800 deer instead of a $400 deer. If you think about it in those terms, just from the tag prices.
It happened to me in Kansas where I do not regret shooting a dink in Kansas because now I think when I go back to Kansas, I'm going to try to shoot a bigger one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun to be able to say, I got to go to Kansas and shoot a deer on the ground in Kansas with my bow. That's sick, regardless of size. So I agree with you. You should probably, especially on an out-of-state public land trip, prioritize the experience and just enjoy it because shooting a deer out of state is fun.
Yeah, which I've never experienced that, but from what I hear, it's fun.
I heard a guy tell me. I told me. Yeah.
All right. So at what point in the year do you give me a date that you normally transition out of the 130 net to the decline of the AT&T bars that you were talking about in the beginning of the podcast?
Man, if I haven't killed a deer yet.
By what date?
It's really bad to say, but probably like November 15th.
No way.
Most of my hunting is done by then. You got to realize Laura and I split time with family. So, November or Thanksgiving, I cannot hunt. Christmas, and the week after during New Year's, I cannot hunt typically. So really
that's true.
November 15th and after, I have like 1 weekend or 2 weekends to go. And so it's kind of over for me then. So
that's crazy. Yeah.
Whereas you're kind of heating up at that moment because you're like, okay, I can start hunting a lot more at home.
On the private, that's the mid-20s of November is where my private starts really heating up. So, yeah, that's what I would say. So I don't know. So I guess the question is, and that still might be your answer, but it seems like from what you said, November 15th, you're kind of somewhat done. So if you're somewhat done on November 15th, when does that mindset of, I'm just going to it's not like I'm going to shoot what I can get from like a greedy standpoint, like you have to fill a tag. That's not what we're saying. It's just like, we all have that fear mentality, whether, of not achieving a goal. Maybe that's just what it is bluntly, is like that fear mindset of not wanting to eat tag soup. But so if people want to get mad about that, they get mad about it, saying, oh, you got to experience the joy of hunting and not just, think it's successful when you fill a tag. That's not really what we're saying, but I guess it kind of is. It sounds like it. So we'll just go with it, and just, as long as you leave a 5-star, you can say whatever you want. But so if you're done at 15th, when do you start transitioning into a lower class deer? One that you would pass early season.
Assuming that I get to hunt like the days leading up to the 15th, like 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, whatever.
Yep.
3 days before then.
3 days before then. So let's say, oh, go ahead.
Let's say we're on a 7-day trip and the last day of that trip is November 15th. On the 11th, I'm going to be like, okay, something that makes me happy is getting shot.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Because it is fun to hang one up at deer camp.
So inches wise, how much are you downgrading?
Dude, I went to 60 inches last year. You think I won't go lower? You think I won't go? See, that's the thing. I legitimately did an 18.
Would you ever shoot a spike?
Jake, I told you I would. Yeah, 100% would. I mean, not at deer camp, not at a place that I'm working my butt off scouting, but if we go over to Arkansas,
place you have history with,
and I see spike,
yeah.
If it's a spike I like.
So what if you were in my scenario last year in Kansas, where it was January? I don't know what it was. We set up a blind out of all things because it was too cold to sit in a tree. Literally, y'all can call us what you want, but
-20.
It was too cold to sit in a tree, and I don't even know if it would have been the sitting part. It would have been the initial hanging the stuff, like your fingers getting so cold because they needed to be bundled up and such. Yeah, it was awful. Anyways, if you're in my scenario where the first 5 minutes setting in that blind, there was 130-inch 8 across the field. Wide sucker, probably 20 inches wide.
Good one.
I don't know if he would have been 130. That's a big 8, but he was wide. Nice 8 shooter on early season, mid-season, or late season. And then all of a sudden a spike comes strolling through. Are you going to take that spike?
Would I?
Yeah, would you have in my shoes?
I would have did it for the boys, but you didn't.
Even if I would have,
you still had time to hunt though, so your mind was infiltrated. You were like, I can come back. There's still time.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I thought, and it would have worked out if the freaking broadhead wouldn't have got stuck on the flap of the blind.
I wish you would have got that on film because I would have liked to see that buck.
Yeah, but the thing is, I was sitting there watching 2 doe on the edge of this field, and all of a sudden I just see a flash of fur come through that little thick part, and I look over, and I got literally I'm not kidding, probably 120-inch buck looking at me from probably 15 yards away.
Were you like, this is my chance, my last
and I'm
chance
like, hello. And as soon as I seen the flash of like stuff, I immediately dropped down on one knee because I was like, ain't got nothing else to do. What am I going to do? Look before I act? No. So I immediately dropped down on one knee. I already told you the story, but I'm just in the moment right now. And I go to reach for my bow and pull it up, and all of a sudden it won't move because I had one of those thorn,
crowns.
What are they called? The crowns. That thing is like it's like a dagger point, and it has just a
spiraling blades.
Yes, that's a perfect way of saying it. And so my blind, all the Velcro is like ripped up and all that stuff in there, so you can't really fold anything down. And the wind was ferocious, and it was just right there in the blind. And I know what y'all are thinking, like, oh, that's loud. The deer would have heard it, but it was so windy that I couldn't even hear it. So the deer ain't going to hear it either. But yeah, I was using my bow to try to hold that stuff down a little bit, and ended up getting tangled up in my broadhead. And when I went to pull up on my bow, I couldn't do anything except watch. So it would have worked out. That's all I'm saying.
So the moral of this story is always shoot a really nice one in early season.
Tag out as early as possible, yes. And then you can always reminisce on, oh man, what if I wouldn't have held, what if I would have held out? Exactly. While you're still looking up at your deer on the wall. So a lot easier to do that than do the what if game.
Yeah, and shooting deer is fun. So shoot whatever the heck you want to do as early and as often. That's my motto this year, early and often. So if we had to put a bow on this, Jake, what are we summoning? How are we summing this up? How does your mindset change over the year, or sorry, as the season goes on? And how do you think a lot of other people's do?
I say you have your goal, whether that be whatever inches wise of
or
the
age.
of the biggest trail cam pick you got. If that's your 10 out of 10, you're 100% of what you want to shoot. I think it goes down 10% every 2 weeks. That's what I would say. And then you can do the math from there.
That's fair. So, okay. Dude, math
Right?
is hard. I'm trying to think
Is
of a
that-
200 incher right now. I'm like 180. I'll take it. 160. I'll take it.
If you have a
140,
trail
I'll
cam
take
pick of a
it.
200 incher, then I'm being left in the dark right now. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to have talk after this.
Go out, shoot some deer, have fun, have goals, but hold them loosely because you never know how season's gonna go. And shoot them early and shoot them often. That's what I would say.
Speaking of that, what are you going to run this year? Have you decided to try to switch to the one stick, or are you going to stick with the old fashioned carry 4 sticks in?
I don't know. Even though my out on a limb shakars are only like a pound a piece, I could still shave off some pounds just by switching to like a one stick.
But I think at that point you're just like asking for. Are you really shaving off that much? Because then you're going to have to pack like
40 pounds of rope.
Yes.
I don't know. When we go up and noodle and catfish with Matt, maybe I'll be like, let me try one stick. Let me see if I can actually get up in a tree. See what they're about.
That is true.
He might be calling the fire department to get me out of the tree.
What's that movie? Someone call the fire department.
I don't know. It's like a cat stuck in a tree. No, it'll be a 220-pound dude up in the help,
hanging upside down. I was trying to grab the rope.
He pulled my slick Rick out from under me.
But dude, I was scrolling through Facebook the other day, and there's been a lot of people interested in the Big Bob from
the one
Out
stick.
on a Limb, and that's kind of what got my interest peaked on it. Because I was like, is one stick the new move? Because before, obviously, it was the saddles. Then, of course, there's always a new meta in hunting every year. But I don't know, kind of gets your wheels turned a little bit.
It does, and if you think that it's a bad time to be thinking about buying hunting gear, you're wrong, because I looked at the calendar the other day. It's almost here in a week. We'll be closing in on less than 100 days till October 1st, which once you get into them double digits, it's coming pretty close. So if you guys are needing some climbing sticks or a saddle platform, or you're going to be a courageous one sticker this year, we can send you
Pilates.
do tree Pilates. We can send you the number of the fire department, and we can give you a discount code to Out on a Limb, which is HNTA10 for 10% off. They run all kinds of sales throughout the summer, but if you want to get a sale every single day of the week, HNTA10 at checkout at Out on a Limb. That'll save you 10%, and you'll be shopping American. You won't be buying from the dirty Chinamen like a lot of these products out in the outdoor industry.
You'll be shopping Oklahoma is what you'll actually be doing.
USA.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah, I'm trying to think. We got some other cool podcasts out right now. We just did one with Adam Hayes a couple weeks back. That's out right now. If you are interested in learning anything about hunting the moon, we talked about it for about 25 minutes.
Hunting the moon? And
Adam gave me a free download of the moon guide. So I'm going to check it out. And just like I told Adam, there's two camps, the guys that die by the moon and the people that think it's total BS. And I told him, just like scent control for me when we talked to John Eberhardt, seeing is believing. So I'm going to try. I'm not going to change my hunting strategy, but I'm just going to look and see if they correlate. So anyways, that's a cool pod. Go check that out. Bear Hunt is out now. That's been out for a couple weeks, but go check it out. And I think that's it.
You're going to there's a new YouTube video that's going to drop on the 1st of September, correct?
That is right. We got top 4 bow hunts ever caught on film, 4K bow hunts. That's going to come out on September 1st. So you still got a little bit on that, but it's 27 minutes of just diehard bow hunting content that'll come out then. We're going to try to drop 2 podcasts a week throughout the summer, which is going to be really fun. So you guys should be looking out for that. I know everybody's ramping up towards season, so there'll be plenty of content out there for you guys, and we're going to really up the volume on the YouTube for regular videos too. So it's coming. Be on the lookout.
It's coming. Just before we leave, Facebook, 5-star rating review. Whoever made that fake Facebook service account, we're going to really try to get that back up to a 5-star thing. Again, it's a 3 stars, so let's just move that up a little bit. Follow us on Instagram. We do have an Instagram. We have a TikTok. We have the other YouTube channel. So you have this one, what you're watching it on right now, which is the Hunter's Advantage YouTube or podcast. And then we have the main channel one where all the hunts are, like the bear hunt and the bow hunting kill shot thingy that Christian was just now talking about. That's on the main channel. So be sure to sub to those, and then the Apple, Spotify, all that stuff. I know it seems like a lot, but damn it would help.
Go leave a rating and review. We do this for free and for you guys. Anyways, enjoy. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Jesus loves you.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for checking out the Hunter's Advantage podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to the podcast. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next episode.